So Macro Detectors is the fastest growing manufacturer in the industry, and for good reason. Many detectorists, including Mike Hare, call us the most innovative, but we are so much more than that. We listen to and care about our customers. We also offer a wide range of detectors to fit all of your needs. Come check out all of our products today at www.noctadetectors.com. Detectors for everyone, everywhere, a lifetime.
Welcome to the UK's first metal detection podcast. It's All Metal Mode UK with your host from across the pond, Mr. Michael Hare.
Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Hare, and you're listening to the All Metal Mode UK podcast with my very special co-host, Mr. Dave Sadler. Dave, nobody be able to hear you yet, so I don't respond just yet, but I got to say, I am so tired of that introduction with your name not being on there. I am not playing it again. I am boycotting Luke until he gets that fixed and gets your name on there. We've been doing that almost a year. Just saying. Come on, Luke. We got to get on Luke. I hate that. And it's been doing it so long that I forget until every time I play it, and I'm like, oh, I hate that. Your name needs to be added to it. We got to fix that. I'm deleting it as of right now. I'm deleting it off there. We're not even going to do an introduction anymore or an intro anymore if we don't have it fixed. Okay, on to the beginning of Mike's ramblings here. Don't forget to check out archmdmag.com. Don't forget Facebook. You can follow us, All Metal Mode Podcast UK, Metal Detecting UK Dirt Fishing, Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine, and Archaeology and Metal Detecting Group. There we go. Don't forget, please tell anybody and everybody you know who metal detects, treasure hunts, anything related. Tell them about All Metal Mode UK. And you can, of course, tune in on Spreaker Live and jump in the chat. You can go back and listen anytime. You can also download from Spreaker so you can listen on the go. You can also find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. There's so many places you can find us. So whatever works best for you. Of course, to listen live, you need to be on Spreaker. But if you can't listen live, if you got a friend who can't listen live, you can tell them about the show, and there's several different ways they can find us. If you are tuning in live and you want to jump in chat, it's very simple. Once you've got the show going, a rectangle box comes up across the bottom. Click on that, and you'll see a little chat bubble. You do have to sign up, but you can do it through, I want to say you can do it through Facebook, whatever. It takes seconds, and you're in chat. You can ask our guests questions. You can ask Dave and I questions, all that good stuff. You can just talk. We have some great side conversations always going on in chat. So before I turn it over to Dave with the news and stuff and introduce our guest, I really want to share yesterday with everybody. So about 3.5 hours from where I live is, which is nothing here in the United States. I know over in England it's a little bit smaller, and that might seem like a drive to you, but it was still in the same state here. The same part of the state, same part of Texas. We're so big here in Texas. And we've got Keith Wills. Keith Wills has been metal detecting since, I want to say, the late 60s, early 70s. I mean, I know he was detecting by like 70, 71, 72, but I think he started in the late 60s. He's been repairing metal detectors and had a shop since 1982. And I went yesterday and visited him. As many of you know, my co-host on Monday nights, which actually isn't my co-host anymore because we've switched some things up with the All Metal Mode show that we do in the U.S. She's now on with my good friend Matt Hoffman. But I met up. Gypsy is from that area of where Keith is, and so we surprised Keith yesterday. She surprised him. I told him ahead I was coming and made sure he had time and went and visited him, and what an experience. I've been at it over 20 years, and I think at times I think I know a little bit about this hobby. I felt like I knew nothing after talking to this guy. In no way was he bragging or anything. He was just talking and sharing experiences and stuff. And his shop is so cool. He works on stuff that is new and relevant all the way back to detectors. And I know a lot of detectors. I am into old detectors. I'm into, when it comes to new technology, I am looking overseas in England and Russia and Bulgaria, and he just had stuff I've never even seen before, never heard of, and he could go in detail about them and the work he does on them and stuff. Really, really neat guy. I felt like just a complete idiot after spending a day with him, though. I'll be honest, he's just so knowledgeable. I have seen some great collections of finds over the years from a lot of different people, and I've never seen such an extensive amount of stuff. We probably spent 4 or 5 hours in his shop, and as I was walking out the door, I was seeing more stuff that I hadn't even seen. Just cases and cases, a lot of Civil War, a lot of really rare coins and stuff, gold coins, which are, you don't see a lot of them come up here in the United States. Just an awesome experience. We went out, the three of us, and did some metal detecting in the evening. Of course, it's like 100 degrees. I'm not sure what that is in Celsius, but it was hot and humid. We didn't detect long, but it was great. And I ended up driving home, getting home around midnight, and so worth it. We'll do it again. I went over there. I took 3 detectors with me. One of them, only 2 to detect with. One of them was I wanted to show it to him. And I ended up leaving with 5 detectors, and I am very much in trouble with my wife. She was not, and it's not even the money I spent. It's that everywhere you look now in our house, there seems to be a detector because I've got, but I will say this, I don't collect anything else. I'm the most simplest person you'll ever meet. I'm not a materialistic person until it comes to metal detectors, and then you can't walk from one end of my house to the other without stumbling across one. So I get her point. It wasn't the money I spent. It was that, did you really need another metal detector, Mike? And I'm like, yes, of course I did, was my response. But it went over okay. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm all right, Michael. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'll tell you, I'm a little tired and I'm a little beat up today, but
that's because you're old. I'd be better if my PC was back from the PC hospital, but it's not. So again, I'm on the mobile app for Skype. So I apologise if it's not as good as it should be. Obviously, I thought it'd be back, but unfortunately, the hard drive was kaput apparently. So they're doing a clone on a new hard drive. So hopefully that's back tomorrow and next week. I've got so much work to do before Detectable and Rodney Cook. So hopefully that'll be back ASAP.
I hope you had everything backed up to an external hard drive.
I'd probably say about 80% of it. Mrs. Sadler's a wedding photographer, so all her past works on there, so hopefully it's going to be all right anyway. So, yes, busy week at work. As I say, busy. I'm actually sat here while we've been waiting. I've got loads and loads of fines boxes, which I'll be selling at Detectable and whatnot.
Great.
So I've been sorting all them out while I've been here. We've had our patches delivered. The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine patches have appeared and are absolutely stunning, if I don't so say myself. So, yeah, all go. I think everything's done, everything's ready. We're just waiting for the days to commence. So, Rodney Cook obviously starts, well, people will start turning up next Friday. And it's obviously, is it next? Or was it the week after? Where am I? 22nd. The week after.
Yeah.
And then Detectable the week after that. So it's a busy few weeks ahead for myself. And Luke's completely and utterly under the cosh at work as well. So, yeah, there you go. Busy.
I am going to, you guys are going to have to find a way to get me one of those patches. But instead of spending an ungodly amount shipping it, I bet you can find somebody over there from the U.S. to give it to send it to me here in the U.S.
Possibly, but we'll also have issues 3 and 4 of the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine paper version to send over as well.
Oh, great.
So all's good.
Oh, that'll be awesome. That will be awesome. Good deal.
So I'm going to continue, Mike, quickly with the news before we introduce tonight's guests. And it's been a fairly busy. First, actually, Mike, before I go any further, can I apologize? Obviously, it took a bit of a twist from the area that we were going to, and we thought it would be at, and there was some quite explicit content. So apologies to listeners for last week. And we've decided between ourselves, myself, Mike and Luke, that we'll be generally sticking to the metal detecting area on this podcast. And in the coming weeks, the Archaeology Metal Detecting magazine will be launching our own podcast where additional content that we're not going to be using on this podcast now we'll be featuring that on there instead in a more suitable location, let's say, Mike. That sound about right?
Yes, I think, it's necessary. Yeah. Like I was saying before, in the United States, when I do a podcast, if I have something that's not metal detecting related, it seems pretty well received. And, the podcast, the episodes we've done with some of this stuff that's off topic is very interesting to me, and I like it. But like I said, it doesn't seem like our core listeners enjoy it as much. So I think it's necessary, and I think what you're going to do is a absolutely great thing. I'm not sure if you were done, but while we are doing apologies, not only am I going to apologize, I'm going to announce tonight's drinking game. So tonight's guest is Kirsty and Keiron.
You've done it already, haven't you?
And I want to say, for some reason, I'm struggling very hard with this, Kirsty and Keiron. So every time I say Kirsty or Keiron, you need to take a shot and or a swig. I don't care, whatever. So if you want to play the drinking game, there you go. I am sure, we are not condoning drinking, but if you do drink and you're listening to the show, and what I'm going to say is please don't get alcohol poisoning and end up in the hospital and blame me or Dave. But have fun. Play responsibly, everybody. We're all adults here. No children. Absolutely no children playing the game. And but there you have it.
So briefly, it's the news before we begin tonight's show, Mike. There's been a fantastic... What I'll do, I'll also put these article links onto the All Metal Mode UK Facebook group. A gentleman I know, a friend of mine, Stephen Gray from Anglo-Saxon Metal Detecting YouTube channel, has unearthed a 600-year-old medieval silver brooch in Witchbold in the UK, which is a fantastic name. Beautiful condition. 14th century and worn by noble people to fasten capes. So that's the first bit on the use. As I say, I'll put on these links on the All Metal Mode UK Facebook group. Second up, and I am rushing through them because I want to get on to our guests. A lady called Laura Makelum, who is a mudlarker and a very, very, very well-respected mudlarker. That she's recently produced a book about mudlarking called Mudlarking, Lost and Found on the River Thames. Now, you remember we have spoke to one or two people who have been involved in mudlarking, and obviously it's very, very interesting. Some of the finds that she's come up with, absolutely stunning. And because of the book, a lot of these images have been coming around the internet the last couple of days or so in Twitter and such like, and absolutely fantastic. So please give Laura Makelum a look up, and Mudlarking, Lost and Found on the River Thames. Very, very, very intriguing. A hoard of silver coins has been that was found in Pries has been classed as treasure. 4 300-year-old coins were found in North Shropshire that date to the time of James I and Charles II, and they've been declared treasure. Absolutely stunning coins again. Finally, a story that we covered more or less live at the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine this week via Luke. Graham Morrison, Secretary of the West Lancashire and Metal Detecting Club, has... Sorry, no, we haven't. He's the person who commented on it. Philip Holt from the group has discovered a very, very rare and excellent collection of Bronze Age weapons. And basically, there were spearheads, knives, amber and jet beams and such like, and all in fantastic condition. Images were on the website, and again, I'll put them all onto the All Metal Mode UK podcast group. So, tonight, our guests are you ready, Mike? Are you listening?
Well, yeah.
You're taking it all in, Mike.
Hold on, let me... Kristen.
Kirsten Brew. And Keiron, not Karen, Keiron Stores.
Yeah, Karen.
You got it?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you sure?
Kirsty and
Both
Keiron.
They're the ones. Both are the, I presume, the originators and organisers of Find a Field Metal Detecting Group over here in the UK. I've been out with Find a Field a few times. Fantastic group. I've reviewed the group on the on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. And they've been kind enough to come along tonight and have a chat with us. So good evening, Keiron and Kirst. Got me doing it now. I'm having to think before I speak.
Hi, everybody.
Hiya.
Are you both well?
Yeah, very well.
Yes, thank you.
Now, I'm going to hand over to Mike first so I can listen to Mike cock everything up. So, Mike, carry on.
Whoa, why do you got to do that? Ouch.
Because I can.
So, what are you wanting me to say their names so everybody has to take a drink?
Yes, you can, but then you can ask questions as you normally do.
So, Kirsty and Keiron? Yeah. Great.
Somebody having a drink?
So I'm here in the U.S. and I don't know a lot about what you guys do. Can you explain that?
Well, basically, we run quite a well-known group now. Got over 3,700 members now.
Wow!
Obviously, not all those people attend the digs. So,
probably about 700 people. Over a year. Some might just attend a dig once or twice. Some come every week. We've got members that come over every time they come over to the UK from Canada. The States, we've got a guy called Mike Gill comes over from, is it Texas?
Yeah.
He's coming over soon. Chris Marshall comes over from Canada. Then we've got Ed Climus and Nigel Jones. They're some of our guys that come over from Australia. So we do have people come over when they come over on the holidays. They get to come out detecting. But we cover about 6 counties. So depending where we are, digging in the area, depends on which members come. But yeah, basically that's, a metal detecting group.
Wow. So yeah, I've been about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So.
And basically, Keiron started it originally. He just did metal detecting. He started it as a hobby. and he met some people just looked like-minded hobbyists, and then he was finding that, to be fair, he can charm the birds off the tree. So he was able to be getting permissions and things from farmers and things without having any issues. So other people were like saying, "Come on, how do you do it?" And he'd share what he says and what he did and everything. And then he realised that people were struggling to get their own permissions, which meant they were struggling to get out on the fields. So that's basically how it originated. It was a hobbyist starting the group for the hobbyists, and then it's just grown and grown. And then we met, didn't we? Yeah. And I joined the group. I got into I've been metal detecting only about 3 years, so I'm only a baby at it. But I do go to every dig. I do go to every dig, and I do kind of think of everybody in the group as family.
Treat them as family.
They're all family. I know when it's people's birthdays. I know when people have been poorly. I know people that have got babies, that have babies coming up, and I'll send them a little baby gift. And yeah, it's just a family. It's a big family, but it's a little family.
That is great. Now, Kirsty, I got it right. Oh, I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah, well done.
So I take it Keiron got you into metal detecting? Is that?
No, he didn't actually. That's how we met.
Oh, cool.
So when people ask me what my greatest find was, I always say Keiron.
Aww.
But then he moans at me for being too sloppy. So the only thing is, Mike, he won't stay buried.
This is going to be a fun show. That was good right there. He won't stay buried. I love it.
Stay buried. Keep trying, but he just keeps getting back out that hole.
That's great. So, how long have each one of you been metal detecting? Well, I know Kirsty 3 years.
Yeah, it's about four and a half years I've been metal detecting now.
What detectors do you guys use currently?
I'm currently being sponsored by Detect, so I'm using the Vista X, and I also use the Equinox 800.
Same. I originally started with a Fisher F5 with a Tiger coil, and now I use the Knox 800 when I can. I've got a bit of a frozen shoulder, so I've had to rest it, so I've not been able to get out on the fields for quite a while, but I'm hoping to get back out there. So I'm there on every dig, so to see what people find, because it's really exciting just to see everybody. But yeah, so it was a Knox 800, and then my trusty Garrett carrot pinpointer, which I absolutely love.
Keiron, I am very curious about the Vista X. Can you talk about that a little bit, your experience? I know it hasn't been out long.
Yeah, it's early days. I've been ill since I've had it, sort of thing, and I hadn't really had much time to give it a good trial.
Okay.
But the time that I have been out with it, it seems to be doing what it should do, basically. Like the alternative disc, that works well. You know, when you go over summer and it's still pinging up a decent signal, you flick it and, it can be trash. So, yeah, it's just like a big change for me as well, because I'm so used to having a display, and just now, obviously, just running off of tones, it's a whole new ball game. Yeah. So, like, I've just got to knuckle down and get into it before I start spilling out the reviews for it. So,
but so far, you're pretty happy with it, aren't you?
Yeah, it is a deep machine. Don't get me wrong. There's been many of holes that I've dug and I've absolutely give up because I thought this is just ridiculously
deep. Really deep.
So.
Yeah. But it's a bit like, it gives you the depth of the CTX, but without the weight. It's not a weighty machine, is it?
No, it's slightly heavier than the Equinox. Not much.
But the Knox is really lightweight, so that's why I like it.
Give me another 2 or 3 weeks, get me back straight, and I should be fine. So you have to do a decent review on it then.
But it's like we kind of say to people, when you have everyone sort of has the favourite, I suppose, make of machine. So like you've got your Garrett users, and you've got your Golden Mask, and you've got your Deep Tech, you've got your Equinox, there's mine Abdeus, all of those, and people tend to stick to certain things. Although I know obviously when the Knox came out, there was a lot of publicity around it, and so a lot of people went down that road. But we always say to people, it's a bit like when you have a new mobile phone. You've got to get used to it again, even if it's the same make. Or you go for a different make, you've got to kind of like get used to where all the icons are, what the sounds are, what it does and everything. And it's the same with the machine, really. Don't just give up on it and say I don't like it straight away. You've got to stick at it for a little bit longer.
Too many people go out there, buy a new machine and sell it 3 weeks down the line because they think they can't use it. They think that the machine's not performing right.
Yeah.
But it's not performing right because they haven't learned how to use the machine.
Yeah. So that's what we try and do as well through the group. We've got lots of members and our admin, all the admin use different types of machines. So we'll help people set up their machines. We'll walk with them on the fields, telling them, helping them to distinguish the tone. So that's a good tone to dig. That isn't one that I would dig. All those kind of things, how to swing the coil. It's amazing how many people you see that march across the field at 90,000 miles an hour with the coil 2 foot off the ground. And you think, that's probably why you're not finding anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of that where I know we're getting off the subject slightly, but when the Garrett AT Pro, when the AT Max come out, there was a lot of belly aching, I would say, and people were kind of a lot of complaining, and I was kind of convinced it wasn't a real good detector, even though I hadn't used one. But when I started talking to people that I consider knowledgeable detectors, they thought it was a great detector. Well, I think it came out and it was kind of in the same housing and looked very similar, and people thought, well, I've got an AT Pro, I'm going to love the AT Max, and they didn't realize that they had to learn that new detector because, Keith Wills yesterday, for example, this guy works on detectors. He's very knowledgeable. He's used a lot of different detectors. He went on and on about the AT Max yesterday, and what he said, what really impresses him is how well he can pick stuff out amongst the iron. This guy is probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the country, if not the world, on detectors. That doesn't mean he's used everything or he knows them all, but he's used a lot. He's been at it a long time, and he's very impressed. Gypsy, that's what she runs, is AT Max. She's sponsored by Garrett, but she had the AT Pro, and she's been a Garrett girl for a long time. She had the Max before she was sponsored and absolutely loves it. So, I tend to think that exactly what you're saying. People, you got to take the time, even when it's the same brand and their new detector, you got to take time and learn it.
Yeah, because I think that happened with over here in the UK when the Knox 800 came out. In a way, although it's a really fantastic machine, I think in a way it was a victim of its own hype because people had pre-ordered and it was supposed to be this almost like the holy grail of detectors that was coming out. And then it kept being delayed and being delayed and being delayed. So it was almost like, does it exist? It became sort of like this almost unachievable, or you wouldn't be able to get one. And then obviously they were, and people who had them on the waiting list got them. But then because it was so different to anything anybody had really used before, within a few weeks, you were seeing like Facebook flooded with people selling it because they couldn't sort of get on with it and couldn't understand it, couldn't find anything with it. But even you had the same, didn't you? When you first started with the Knox, you struggled with it and you were like umming and ahhing, but then you stuck to it, and now it's very rare you go anywhere without it, and you'll find stuff with it. No matter what, you always find something. So I think it is just, I suppose if you had to be in a contract with a metal detector like you are with a mobile phone, you maybe would quite happy to put a bit more time in it because you know that there's nothing you can do about it, so you've kind of got to stick with it and get used to it. But until they do that, I don't think. I think it's going to be the same old with anything. It's just what some people like. Some people don't like change, to be honest, do they? They like what they know, their comfort zone. But give anything a go. You never know. Stick to it.
Right. Yeah, I see it a lot. We see it a lot over here. People get a new detector and don't take the time to learn it. And I've talked about it a lot lately, and it's just because I've noticed it. I love technology and learning different detectors, old and new. I mean, I was a kid in a candy store. He's got a building that's just storage, and there were some ancient detectors, and I was just drooling. I stuff that made before I was born, and I'm 43, so he's got some really old dinosaurs. And what was neat is he's got those, but then he's got brand new stuff that can barely be out of warranty he's working on. So that was really cool, but it amazes me how almost every detector shares some of the most basic settings. And those basic settings change the detector, the same way that all detectors do. And it amazes me how many detectorists I talk to that don't understand those very basic features and what they do to the detector. And don't get me wrong, we are getting into some more things and some newer things coming out on detectors that change them in other ways. But, for example, I know a guy who's been detecting at least 10 years, and he was recently talking to me about a situation that he was running into where he was having trouble with his detector. And I'm like, oh, well, try changing this setting. And he said, oh, I don't even know how to do that. What's it do? And it's like, not only has he been detecting 10 years, he's been using that same detector for the 10 years. How do you not know how this very basic feature affects your detector? It's really surprising to me, and I know I say it often. I've talked, but it's just really shocking to me how few people know some of the most basic settings and how it affects their detector. So.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got our first question of the night in the chat room. Keiron, Simon Hipkiss has asked, what is the best machine you've used?
And you've had a few.
I love the CTX, but I don't love the weight. CTX with that 17-inch coil smashes anything. But it's just the weight issue, you know what I mean? But then obviously the 800 came along. It's virtually matches it. It's just that obviously your display is different. But yet, I'm yet to, like I say, give this Vista a go. I think the Vista will give the Knox a run for its money. Obviously, price-wise, it's still £370 cheaper. But obviously, you've got no visual display on there. It's just you're just running on tones.
So it's like going back to old school then?
You're going old school basically. But I think on depth and recovery speed on the Vista is really fast as well. It's rapid. But I think on depth it will smash the Knox. Knox with a 17-inch coil on. It'll blow it out of the water.
So let's get back to metal detecting. How many digs do you think up to now that you've actually put on for Find the Field?
How many digs?
Yeah.
Jesus. Ooh.
Don't blaspheme.
God. How many?
Well, in the first couple of years, you were doing them one a weekend, weren't you?
There's not many weekends we've missed, is there, in 2 years, really?
Well, in the last 2 years, beginning of this year and a lot of last year, we did midweekers. So we did one in the week and 2 on the weekend. So that was three every week. So you're talking like 52 weeks a year because we dig all year round. So that's a lot in a year. Then we'd have the weekenders and the bank holidays where we would do like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, where people could camp over.
Which you've actually got one this weekend?
Yeah, we've got one this weekend. We've got the August Bank Holiday Weekender, so we've got people arriving from tomorrow. We've got Saturday, Sunday and Monday digs. They're all up on our Facebook page. Saturday and Sunday, they're all at East Drayton, which is near Retford, Nottinghamshire. But Monday is a different permission, so we've had to do it as like a separate event on the group. But anybody that wants to stay over, they can arrive from tomorrow night and they can camp Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just leave on Monday if they want to do Monday as well. We've got a caterer, we've got proper toilets, ladies and gents toilets, because we're using the cricket clubhouse, so that'll be nice.
Bit of a disco as well.
Disco as well. The only thing we're not doing on this one, which we normally do, is a big charity raffle, but we're not doing that on this one because we've had one not that long ago, really. No. We'll still do the collections that we do for our 3 sponsored charities, but yeah, that's going ahead this weekend. And they've forecast record-breaking weather, so that's something really exciting, because obviously, Mike, as you're probably aware, in the UK, we're not known for our all-year-round sunshine.
Right.
We tend to get rusty rather than tanned, but
2 weeks of sunshine over
that's
it.
Yeah, 2 weeks of sunshine, that's our summer, but we have done quite well actually. Last year it was ridiculous with the heat wave. But yes, normally if it's a bank holiday in this country, it rains. It could be a heat wave right up to the bank holiday and then it rains, but it's forecast this weekend it might be the hottest this year, up in the 30s. So so we're looking forward to it, and obviously it's a family friendly group, so some people come with their partners or their children, because spectators, under 16s, anybody that's not detecting, there's no charge, camping and everything's free. So it could be quite a nice weekend away for a family for not very much money. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And obviously I've been to 2 of your events, and you also put on teas and coffees, and there's also snacks available for people to buy.
Yeah, we do refreshments on all our digs, tea, coffees, speciality chocolate, latte, cappuccinos, hot chocolate, biscuits, soups and things. But we've got Della's caterers who did our Easter one, didn't they? Yeah. Luke from Della's is coming to do it for us, so there'll be like hot food and everything, and there may even be an ice cream van again. So it should be really, really nice. So people can cook if they want to, but they don't have to, because there'll be food and there'll be breakfast, lunch and dinner if they want it all sorted.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, hopefully. That's what I'm looking forward to. Ice cream.
So the location for this event, historically, have you any known history?
Oh, definitely. We, on one of our last visits, was that last year? We missed one of them, didn't we? Because it was ploughed and cropped.
It was last year.
It was last year. We had a field, and we found quite a few things, and it turned out to be a Roman sort of villa settlement.
There was a row of villas stretching down the field. There was about 5 villas. And there was a rubbish pit at the bottom, which I dug out. And I got a lot of Roman pottery and animal bones.
Roman animal bones and things, which we have gone through flow and everything's been sorted. But the land has been released back to us because it's, although they were Roman villas, they were built of wood, not the typical
there was nothing
stone.
left.
So it was more like a settlement. But obviously we have had like the Roman coins and all the Roman artifacts and things off that land, and we've got some land that's been freshly ploughed as well. Is that right?
Should be
ploughed, some discs, some pasture, some stubble. So we've got a nice mixture, but there's a lot of history of Roman around the area. Well, we had Anglo-Saxon from there as well.
There's gold stater come off. There's a silver stater come off there.
So yeah, it's quite a lot of history.
The gold stater came off of the field by the farm. It had been pasture for so many years, and last year, after we'd visited, he ploughed that field up and put a crop in. So I'd like to see what else comes out of there.
So that'll be interesting. And then we've got some new land as well, haven't we? Some land that hasn't been touched. So a little bit of everything, and we are releasing it obviously not all in one go, so everybody will get their fair share of
Yeah,
of the,
I'm not.
of the
I'm not opening every field up this time.
On the very first morning.
We'll be doing fields. You know, a selection of fields for Saturday and a selection of fields for Sunday. But obviously, Saturday fields will fall on for the Sunday, so there'll be a lot available on the Sunday.
Yeah, so if you're there for the whole weekend, then you dibs in. But if you're there on the Sunday, you get both Saturday and Sunday's fields. And then obviously Monday, that's different permission altogether. So the weekenders will get that. But then there's also some people coming on the Monday as well for that. That's an extra if people want to add that on. So we're quite excited to see what's going to come off, aren't we? The pottery was amazing. There was a piece of pottery that had a Roman trademark, so a bit like the Marks and Spencers of its time, and he'd signed his name, and we were able to actually trace this Roman pottery maker to, was it Staffordshire?
No, it's
Worcestershire. He was well known for being based in Worcestershire, so this little piece of broken pot had got his name on. And then there was a little roof tile that had got a tiny, tiny little putty cat print that obviously when they were putting the tiles out to dry after they'd made them, a little cat's walked across. So it blows your mind really, thinking the fact that you can still, even now, nearly 2,000 years later, date a piece of pottery back and know exactly who made it and where they used to live, and then that there was a little cat at some point running around as somebody made some tiles. So yeah, and that's all that history from that area. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it, aren't we? So.
Fantastic. Well, obviously we'll follow up next week's show. We'll give you a shout out to the group, and we can me and Mike can discuss via the Further Field group what you found and whatnot. And obviously, anybody who's interested can obviously join the group and get in touch with you, communicate by there.
Yeah, we don't. Anybody can be a member of the group. We don't say you can only be a member of the group if you're going to attend a dig, or you're going to comment, or you're going to participate, because we know we have a lot of members that maybe can't get out metal detecting, but they're able to enjoy it through other people. When people put videos up of the land and what they found and everything, and there's some people that just are interested in the history and like to ID things for people. So yeah, all that we ask is we've got some joining questions, and it helps if people answer those questions, because it means that then people that join the group understand that it is a group for everybody. It's a family friendly group, and you can share anything. If you want to self promote anything, then it's best to ask an admin first, obviously, but that's for any group really. But yeah, there's sort of like, there's no drama, there's no falling out. We just like to keep it one happy little family, just enjoying the group. And as we always say to everybody, especially new members, and with the group as well in our digs, that getting out in the beautiful countryside that we are very, very lucky to have in this country, getting out in the fresh air, getting the exercise, and then also meeting like-minded people and having a giggle and a laugh and a joke and things. Anything you find after that, to me, that's the bonus, because you've already found treasure just in that little bubble of getting out there sort of thing. But that's me. I'm probably a bit whimsical and daft. But yeah, anyone can join. They're welcome to join anytime. And any questions, they're welcome to PM me. Out of all of the admin and Keiron, if you message me first, I'm more likely to message you back pretty quickly.
I don't do the messaging side.
Keiron didn't even realise that there was if somebody that's not on your friends list sends you a message on Messenger, that there's a separate little part that you have to go on to check that. And one day I had a look on his phone, and he got about 25 message requests from people to do with the group, and he didn't even know it existed. So, and they dated back quite a long time. So if you want an answer fairly quickly, yeah.
I'm not all there with technology.
So out of all the digs that you've put on over the past 2 years, what has been the most consequential find? The one that's obviously the most of consequence of British history.
It's
two, haven't we?
3 years ago in Curtin, which was the gold ring which was found by Mark Thompson.
Yeah, Mark. He's a future guest on the show. Good friend of mine, Mark.
Yeah, that's at auction now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going into auction now, that, because the museum can't afford it. So, I don't know whereabouts it's going to be auctioned. It's hoping it's going to be down London, so. That's probably the best find that's ever come off on the
Church Hoard.
Yeah, that was interesting.
14th, 15th century church hoard, which we think there's still something out there, we're just not sure.
I mean, Curtin's it's been very productive. There's lots of stuff coming off there all the time. I mean, on the last weekend of there, I'd walked up the top of the field on the hill there's a little wood, we called it Bluebell Wood. There was footprints everywhere. I'm not kidding. It just looked like it had been done to death. Every square inch had been covered. And I went up there and I got this strange silver pin. It's like ribbed with two like spikes on the end, as if it's like a nose piercing or something like that. But
you got identified.
Yeah, I haven't had it sorted out yet. I've got to go and send that in. So that was, it's. And then I went further up and got Pilgrim's Ampulla. So
that was gorgeous. That was.
Yeah, that was in really good condition. So
that's for that, isn't it? But then we've got a commission down in Leicestershire, Little Markfield Farm. A lot of people know it as the alpaca farm because she breeds and walks alpacas. Brenda does, and we've been there. There's some fantastic land down there. Dates back to the Doomsday Book, and I think we've been 4 separate occasions. We've had gold off there, haven't we? And then there was a little mini hoard of silver hammered that one of our members got, David. And then we've had, is it gold sovereigns? What
was it? Guineas, weren't they?
Gold guineas. But they were in different locations, so all we can think of that there must have been some very well-to-do gentleman, maybe out on his horse, had got a little hole in his pocket, and as he was jogging along, he was leaving this trail of gold. So there might be some more out there, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we have 6 visits or 7 visits, and we've had gold out of
4.
Yeah, 4 visits.
4 of them, and then we've had some silver on every visit.
Yeah.
So it's like we've had a few little ones, but I like some of the less. Well, to me, it's not about things that are worth value, as in monetary value, but the quirky things that, like the little thimbles, the history behind them, that somebody wore them on their hand, when they were sort of like clearing the fields and things, and the little old children's lead toys, soldiers and things that they found in the fields, and then some things you find in the middle of nowhere in a field, and you think, why is that there, like half a teapot in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere, and little things like that. Because I just sometimes wish things could talk to you. It'd be really interesting to sit and have a conversation with something that's come out of the ground after 200, 300, 400 years. But if only. Then they could tell us where the rest is buried.
So what was actually involved in the hoard? What items were in that?
The church hoard.
Yeah, there was was it a candle
snuffer.
There was bits of chain from there.
There was half of the incense pot from an incense burner.
Yeah, incense burner. What else was there? There was like a little bronze picture frame.
Yeah, there was some like panels. They think it was. I'm not sure if you have like the Limoges pilgrimage boxes, the little wooden boxes that they used to carry on pilgrimages with sort of sanctified items in. And the panels that would have gone on that, like the gold panels that were then sort of painted, they were actually.
There was bronze
gold gilt, but there was the panels. Obviously, the wood had perished, but there was quite a few of the panels, and you could still actually see the painting of the deity. Like, it was amazing, and some of them even still have little gold pins still attached to the bit of metal. What else was there?
Daft as it sounds, the lad who found it was pulling out the pins and chucking them on the floor out the way.
And also little figures. There was like the sort of pilgrim figures. Different. There was some about 3 inches high. 2 inches high.
They went on like the top of the cross and
so there would have been a wooden cross. because it was right between two churches. So we don't know if it was a pilgrimage. We don't even know, because you went and researched a lot, didn't you, with the church?
Had a mace head off the same field as well.
But the church, the vicar, the records go years and years back, and they've had loads of raids. He was saying, wasn't they? So they've got lots of stuff that was stolen from the church that they think is around the area, and obviously, so we don't know if that church or that particular find was something hidden because it had been looted, or hidden to protect it, or just one of those things, I don't know, that got lost in history.
We haven't found the church bell yet.
Yeah, apparently the church bell was stolen as well. So there's a church bell hidden somewhere.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, who knows?
Scotty B asked what date, what era this comes from, the church hoard.
The 13th century.
13th century.
Do you know, I'm so glad I actually asked you that question, because anybody would generally presume a hoard would be a hoard of coins.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a hoard like that. That's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. I'll get you some details on it, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd absolutely love to see that. It'd be fantastic.
We've got the photos and everything, and it was featured in one of the magazines, but I don't know which.
It was in Nottingham Museum, and they've released it back to my mate Chock, who found it.
Glyn, yeah.
And so, like Glyn, he's still got it at the minute, and I think Newark Museum was interested in it. So
yeah,
I don't know if he's done anything about it.
So it's and then one of the other finds that we've had, one of the other digs we've had, was in Grantham, on land that had never been detected on before. It's like in between two valleys, and the farmers got traced some of the research, some of the history on the land. That there was a sort of Civil War skirmish on these two hills, wasn't there? Yeah. And we had a dig on there. We had a Christmas dig on there, which raised a lot of money for Alzheimer's, and there was some interesting bits like heel spurs and bits and pieces.
People coming back with hands full of
musket balls of every size and shape. There were hundreds of musket balls, so it must have been some skirmish. That's all we could say. And that one sticks in my mind. So it's not a hoard as such, but obviously the land was telling you something, because I mean the amount of things that it was telling you a story big time. But that was all pasture. If only it was ploughed, Lord knows what would have been brought to the surface.
Firing the muskets from two mountains, wasn't it?
Yeah, to each other, and then the valley in between, fighting over the valley. So, but we've got photographs as well, Dave. If you know, with all of the different things, we've got the ring, the church hoard, the gold coins, the hammered. You've had some nice Viking pieces as well, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
Gaming pieces, which still had the colour on them.
That guy, Russian guy, who had the Viking gaming piece. It was from Western.
I know there was Stan Baxton at Haxley had that beautiful Saxon pendant that's been in all the magazines. I don't know if you remember that, Dave. Large, solid gold Saxon pendant.
Yeah.
It had the little gap in the middle that would have held some kind of precious stone. That was found on one of our...
Who was that?
That was Stan Baxter found that.
Baxter, yeah.
And that's the same field you got your Viking off. So there's obviously Saxon Viking there. Funnily enough, when he found that, a lot of people suddenly went around the same area because they thought they might find the gold chain, not realising that probably during that historical period it would have been on a leather thong rather than a chain. Which is probably how it got lost. The thong snapped or got worn or whatever. But yeah, that was quite a significant piece of history. Beautiful as well, all the filigree on it. So yeah, but they're all in the gallery. At some point, when I've got sort of like a month to spare, I need to sit through sort through all the photos and try and put them into sort of albums to help people see which areas and that they came from. But like I say, we have digs over 6 counties, so it's little pots of different history and different timelines depending where we are.
Maine is Nottinghamshire, obviously.
But yeah, because that's where we live. But we'll travel up to an hour and a half.
Pushing a lot now over in Lincolnshire, so
yeah,
market raising.
So that's we've got that coming up and Egmonton. So yeah, we just wherever people want us to try and find land for them, we will go out. I mean, you're off at the moment, but we both work full time, so it's sort of like when we can, we go out and do some permission hunting. And we've got a fantastic admin team who are really supportive and all do different things and different times and put different things into the group, which is lovely. All detectorists, all hobbyists that just do it for the love of the hobby, really. So yeah, we're quite lucky with the land, aren't we?
Mm.
Now, the Divi Detectorist has asked...
Hi, Martin. Hi, Simon.
He's asked, what are your best favourite individual finds?
Individual finds.
Well, Mick Hibbert.
You don't
Hibbert for Ferrari, didn't he? Yeah, Mick Hibbert, one of our regular...
Your favourite finds?
Dug me up.
You've only found a decent Ahmed, that's it.
Yeah, my find's you.
Medieval coins, watch, a matrix seal, a nice silver matrix seal is probably one of my favourites. It's really nice. And obviously this gaming piece, which I like as well.
And your silver spoon?
Oh yeah, I've got rid of my silver spoon now. I didn't want that.
Yeah, Kieran's really strange because if it's anything younger than Roman, so I don't know what that makes me, but if it's anything younger than Roman, it doesn't do anything for him. So
is that why you go as your pseudonym?
Yeah, Boudica. Yeah, no, that is because I teach and support children with behavioural problems in school, and previous to that, I supported some older children, so like year 6, so they would be savvy. They shouldn't be on Facebook, but they would have been. And it's just the fact that they don't know my first name, but if they know my second name, they can search me. And obviously, no matter how private you set your settings, they can see your profile picture, so they can work out it's you. So they can't find me.
When you say of age, believe me, this past couple of weeks, my daughter's about to go to high school, so she's 11. And several of her friends have popped up with Facebook accounts. Yes, my thoughts on that.
I think it's 14, I think, is the official thing. So, but hey, that's down to their parents, I guess, isn't it?
It certainly is. That night, young man. Little man's just going to bed.
Oh, bless. I've got my grandson tonight, but he's making slime in the kitchen. Well, I dread to think what's going to look like. I just thought, yeah.
As I said, I've been to I'm sure it's 2 of you. Yeah, it was 2 of the days, definitely.
One of them was
the first one,
Detectors, wasn't it? And you came for the day, was it Staffordshire? Down in Staffordshire?
Yeah, up near Alton, and the other one was near Ashbourne. The first one, it was my first time out with the Rootus, which everybody knows what a technophobe I am. So I'm playing away with my Rootus. You weren't actually there, Kirsty. You weren't well that weekend.
No. It's very rare I don't get out on a day, but yeah.
I was on my way back to the car, sweeping along, all very nice, to grab some lunch because you were opening a second field after lunch. And I went over somebody else's previously dug hole, got a beep, and I thought, I can't be dealing with people who put the rubbish back in the hole and leave it. So I thought, I'll be nice, I'll take it, I'll remove it. Yeah, it wasn't. It was a Victorian pair of nutcrackers. Absolutely fantastic.
I remember that. I remember seeing the photos of that. That was amazing.
Oh, I was buzzing because obviously a coin is a coin. They're fantastic. Your hammered coins are great. Your gold coins are great, obviously. But when it comes to actually finding a relic, an item that's been used in everyday life by a farmer sitting in a field, that to me was absolutely fantastic. So it made the day for me, and it made the Rootus for me at the same time.
Yeah, they're the sort of things. Yeah, the coins are lovely, but those sort of things.
Hey, was that the day when that guy found that lovely gold watch winder?
Yes, it was. It was, yes.
Yeah, that were a nice piece as well, wasn't it?
Mine paled in comparison that day.
Oh, bless. We did have somebody find a watch winder, and it actually had like a beautiful sort of amber stone in it. Can you remember? That wasn't that long ago. It was like in the sort of cut out circular bit. It had, I think it must have been amber or quartz. I don't know, of another precious stone that's sort of an orange colour. To be fair, But that was in that, and I was really, really surprised to see that. That must have. I'd love to see the watch that it went to, because obviously if they took all that time and money and expense to put a special jewel inside the watch winder, the watch must have been amazing. But sadly, no, didn't find the watch.
Now you also spoke to me earlier, and we discussed a raffle that you're about to launch.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple of raffles going. Yeah. Well, we do regular ones. We call them faffles. Excuse the pun. So it's like a faff raffle, and we're on faffle 10 right now. And what we do is Keiron sort of tries to strike up a good deal with a local supplier, and puts up metal detectors.
Basically,
different things. Usually metal detectors.
Every fortnight it will be a Knox and
ORX
or something like that, set up for grabs for £20 a ticket.
Some of them 20, sometimes it's been 10, hasn't it?
You know, it just keeps a bit of fun in the group. At the end of the day, someone can win a brand new machine for £20.
Yeah, which is what we've had. Quite a few new members who are just starting out and couldn't afford to sort of fork out a lot of money for one of the top of the range detectors, which doesn't make a difference because, like, you know, you've got to walk over it at the end of the day. So even one of the more basic lower end machines can find things just as much if someone's tuned in with it and uses it properly and walks on the fields low and slow, etc. But quite a few of the members, they were actually won, weren't they? Sort of new members, so they were actually made up that they'd got this machine.
One guy won twice.
Yeah, one guy won twice. He couldn't believe it. But yeah, so that's what we do, and that's you can find that in the announcements. If you click on at the top of the group on Facebook, where the announcements are. If you're on your phone, you need to click where it says "See All," and it'll give you all of the announcements. If you're on a laptop, it's down the left-hand column, and you just click announcements, and it's in there. But we've got another one we've put on, which we're just trying it out. We don't know, do we? We don't know how it'll go, but we're just thinking of people that maybe can't always afford to go out detecting every week, but maybe would like to go out detecting every week, doesn't have time to buy permissions. So we've got one coming up. There's 100 tickets. It's £10 a ticket. But basically, the first prize is a lifetime VIP pass to all digs.
Including
weekenders, midweekers, bank holiday events, special events. So it's a carte blanche. So if we have an event on, you've got that pass. It doesn't cost you a penny. You come and it will be a proper lanyard and everything with your pass on and your photograph. And you can come and go, dip in and dip out as you please, and it won't cost you anything. And that's the first prize. The second prize is a year's worth of digs, same terms and conditions. It's just dipping in and out of anything. The third one is 6 months, and the fourth one is 3 months. And all four of those prizes, you also get a Find a Field t-shirt, a Finds box, and a Find a Field bumper sticker as well. So, you know, some people spend £10 on the lottery. If they want to have a go at that, it's £10, a day's digging, and they might win a lifetime's worth of digs. So,
go with that raffle.
We'll see how it goes. It's not something that's been done before, I think.
Keep coming over then.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how it'll go. I'm not sure if people will be interested or not, but it's out there, and like I said, I don't think it's something that's ever been done before. But, you know, we just feel like we're very much, as a lot of our members will tell you, and as you probably realised, Dave, after the second time when we met and talked and everything, we're quite a pay it forward kind of group. We like to look after people. We raise a lot of money for charity. We've got the 3 charities that we've sponsored this year, and the collection pots will be out this weekend for them. And we do the one-off digs like the Christmas one, which we did for Alzheimer's research.
Fancy dress at Christmas.
Fancy dress at Christmas, yeah, where you win prizes and things, and it's a laugh. And I make mince pies and hot chocolate for people and things. But we like to look after our members. So if we have members that fall on hard times, that regulars and that we know fell on hard times, and maybe out of a job and things like that, then we'll say to them, that they can have a dig for free, or a couple of digs for free. And we've got, sadly, one member, bless him, who's been battling cancer and has now been told he's got between 6 months and a year. So we've told him that any digs he wants to join for free, he just clicks go in, and he can come along for nothing, because it's about making memories and making the most of that time. So that's it really, isn't it? We donate different things to other charity events, like prizes and things. I spend a lot of our own money on things, refreshments, like we'll do one-offs when it's the Remembrance Day, all refreshments that are paid for. I absorb that cost, and that all goes into the British Poppy appeal. So we're quite a pay-it-forward kind of group, and we like to put back into what we get out of things. So last year it was the air ambulance we raised a lot of money for. This year we're doing a men's cancer charity, so like prostate cancer and testicular cancer, because there's a lot obviously in the press for the female cancers as such, but the sort of male ones, which are just as deadly, don't get as much press. So that's one of our sponsored charities this year. The Blue Cross, which is a charity for animals, but it can be any animals, wild animals, farm animals, pets, strays, people that fall on hard times and can't afford to pay for medication for them, to look after them. The Blue Cross helps everybody out. It's like a blanket charity. And then obviously the final one we've decided for this year, because we have a lot of veterans in the metal detecting sort of hobby, and across the hobby, not just our group. There's a lot of ex-forces members and current forces members that find metal detecting quite therapeutic. Yeah, it helps them deal with PTSD, helps them deal with stress and anxiety. So we've also, for our third charity, we've got the British Legion. So at the end of this year, everything that's been raised throughout the year, including the charity that we did at Easter, it'll get split between the three charities. And then next year, we'll think of another charity. We'll get our members to suggest a charity for us to sponsor, or a number of charities, just depends. So we're quite sort of like it.
Face Journey.
Yeah, we did Face Journey. That was for one of our members. That was a couple of years ago. That was a little girl, Lee McLennan, one of our members. His daughter's got cerebral palsy, and at that time they were told they needed, I think it was £40,000 to go to America for her to have an operation on her spine to stop the pain receptors going through to her legs. I think I've got that right. I'm not sure. I'm not a surgeon. And they needed to raise the money. So through Find a Field, we did some sponsored charity digs. We did a fire walk. That was amazing. If you ever get a chance to do a fire walk, do it.
What's that?
Where you walk over fire.
Hot coals.
Oh, very fire. Self-explanatory. Why would you want to do that?
Well, we did it to raise money for this little girl. So,
Mike's beard's very low. It'd probably catch fire.
Right.
No, you don't want to do that, because it is very hot, and it isn't a con. Like some people think it's a bit of a con. It's not. They tested the heat of the coals that we walked on, because they get it really going, and then they let it die down, so it's sort of like the white embers, so it's like the red, white, hot.
Oh, enough to melt a motorbike.
A motorbike, yeah. If you stood a motorbike on it, it would have melted, a bit like Terminator. So it was hot, and it is very true. It is mind over matter, because I burnt myself the first walk. I did it twice. You did it once. I did it twice, and I burnt myself on the first one. So there you go.
Oh,
Second
yikes.
time, I walked straight across. Nothing. So it is about your mind and get your mindset and what you focus on. But I digress. I do apologise from the subject. But so we like to look after our members and just be nice, be kind. If you can be anything in this world, be kind. So that's me.
We've had the question from one of your members, Mr. Lee Hull. Hello, Lee.
Hi, Lee.
And Sally. He's asked, do you have any issues? A lot of groups do have issues with people not filling in the holes. Has there been anything like that with Find a Field?
Yeah. It's something you just cannot educate people. I don't know why, but we announce it at the beginning of every dig. You know, simple instructions. Grass side up if you're on pasture. If you're on stubble, just fill your hole in. Nice and neat. It's just as easy to push it over. It's easier to fill it in than it is digging it out at the end of the day. But we still have these issues where people will put an horseshoe on top of the hole because they can't bother to carry it.
Yeah.
They'll dig the hole, see it's whatever, a bit cans floor or something bad that's not worth taking out, and they'll just fill it back in. And of course, somebody comes along and has another go over it, and it might give them a good signal, so they'll dig it and pull their crap out. But yeah, it's something that keeps going on and on. Like I say, do a quick talking just before we set off at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we always do a briefing at 9 o'clock. Always. So it's always arrival from 8:30, and then we all the admin wear lanyards with photo ID and emergency whistles, and I blow the whistle, and everyone gathers round. And I know people that come in every week probably get sick of the sound of my voice, but we just explain, you know, about filling your holes in and the scrap buckets and everything else. We explain that if you don't, you can lose the land, because we know another group have lost land because people didn't fill the holes in, or they left scrap in the holes and things, and it's just respect. And it still happens, and not every dig, but quite often you'll find people who come and say, I've just filled a load of holes in. I mean, we're very lucky that we've got a lot of members that if they do see a hole unfilled or with scrap on it, they'll pick the scrap up, they'll fill the hole in, which is really kind, and we really appreciate that. But other than having people out on every field that every person's in, sort of like marshalling and watching and big brothering, I don't think it's something that we're ever going to totally eradicate, and we don't want to be that kind of group. We don't want to do that. We're all adults, we trust everybody. But I think that is, I think that's every metal detecting group has that issue with people just not filling the holes in. Yeah. It does. Sometimes it gets you. Every now and again, I'll have to put a little post on the group and just say, with utmost respect, fill your blooming holes in. But yeah, it's. We've even had. We've even demonstrated how to fill a hole in, haven't we? We've had people demonstrate it for them. We've had people do a video how to dig a plug and fill it back in with the grass side up and everything. But yeah, it's something that really dumbfounds me, because like it takes more effort to dig the hole than to just put the clod back in. So I don't understand why it is a problem for some people. But I guess, you know, there are just certain people in the world that don't think rules apply to them, or just are in it for themselves. I don't know. But yeah, Lee, we do have an issue like that. We don't, like everybody does. So.
Are you still nervous?
Me? Yeah, because I'm talking too much.
I told you there's nothing to be nervous about, didn't I?
Pardon?
I told you it would just be chatting about metal detecting, didn't I?
I know. Stick me in front of a classroom of 4 to 5 year olds, I'm fine.
Well, all you need to remember that my mentality is probably that, so there's not much difference.
Yeah, you're good.
As long as you don't have behaviour issues and bite me.
I won't bite you, but I do have behavioural issues.
Yeah, I have a few people on the group that do know. A couple of months back, I got bitten by a 5-year-old, and I ended up having to go to hospital.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, they broke the skin, so I had to have injections and blood tests, and but it's not his fault. It's just a product of his historical upbringing, bless him. So it's just one.
She was foaming at the mouth when she got home.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Every time there's a full moon, Keiron worries.
You know, right? You know, you say a product of. I'm 43, and I've got my son is just a year and a half, and we call him our little demon nugget. I mean, I am very concerned about what this boy is going to be like in a few years. And
well, this boy, because he is young and because I work very hard with children with these issues, he's come a long way since then, and he's seen things and been privy to things that a lot of children that age would never ever be exposed to. And in some ways through no fault of his mum either. And it's there's a lot of children with behaviour issues, and some of it is special needs, and some of it isn't. Some of it is the environment that they've grown up in, and it can be a survival thing. His anger, and we have to do what they call, it's called MAPA. It's like how you safely restrain a child so that they're not going to hurt themselves, hurt other people, or hurt other children. But I just happened to get distracted for a second, and the next thing I know, my arm was in his mouth. But I don't get angry, and I don't feel, people say he needs a smack bum or he needs this and he needs that. He doesn't. That's the opposite of what he needs. A lot of these children, the children that come to school and cause the most issues and are the most angry and the most unlovable are the ones that need the love and need the understanding and need the patience and need the nurturing, because that's the only way you can turn it around. But I believe, truly, 100%, that when he becomes an adult, he will be okay. He will be a normal, fully functioning society, because people are there at this age to support him and to help him deal with anger and how to cope with anger. Sadly, more and more children are coming through schools like that. But it is. But that's why we're a family group as well. That's why I love to see the kids out and about in the fields, enjoying the history, getting off their Xboxes, getting off the PlayStations, getting off the tablets and stuff, and out enjoying the fresh air and the history, and like bonding time with mum and dad or uncle or granddad or whatever, and just enjoying it, but also learning to respect the countryside as well, because obviously we've become a society where we just seem to wrap our children up in cotton wool and don't want them to be out and about because we're frightened of stranger danger, which in actual fact is no different to when we were children and we used to go out and play in the countryside and in the woods and things. Right. Nothing's changed. It's just obviously we're more aware of it now because of the internet and because of social media and things like that. But it's lovely to see families getting into the hobby and enjoying it all together, even if only one of them's detecting. It's just it's lovely to see that, and I don't think there's many hobbies out there that you can enjoy as a family and get all the benefits from it. So yeah, we always do like little special things, like the Easter one. We did an Easter egg hunt for the little ones and stuff like that, don't we? And we do little things. Yeah. All kiddies that attend, they get free water in the summer and hot chocolate in the winter. We've got some little children's detectors as well that they can have a go with if they want to have a go. So if we can get them hooked on metal detecting and nothing else, then that's got to be a bonus.
Absolutely.
Got to be. So
Absolutely.
It's a very mindful hobby. I think it's really good for the soul.
The Divi Detectorist asks, will you be at Detectable?
No, we won't. Not this year.
We're not. We haven't even been yet.
We've never been. We've got our own dig on that weekend, and it's a bit difficult with the travel and everything because I'm back at work next Friday.
Every time Detective's on, we've got events on ourselves. So
yeah, I mean, maybe if the group grows, we might. I don't know. Go down and do a little find a field stand. I don't know, but we're just happy plodding along, I guess.
We'd like to make it at some time.
Yeah, just for our own interest to see it. It always looks really fantastic when you see the YouTube videos and what people all the people that
I can honestly say after last year, obviously you know how the metal detecting community is, the social gathering and such like when you have your own events. But wow, last year was phenomenal. The amount of people I met, and again, I've said on the forum tonight, it'll be nice to put names, faces, the likes of Scotty B, Divi Detectors and such like. I know them all by the pseudonyms and by the Facebook, but I've never met them in person, so it'll be fantastic for that. The amount of people to meet there, and as I say, they have the bands on, and they have all the food bands, the travelling beer company, and it's seeing people I haven't seen for so long, because there's a lot of people from digs I organised back 5, 6, 7 years ago that are there, and it's fantastic to see them as well. So it's well worth going just for the social aspect.
Hopefully next year, because my T5 should be sorted by then.
Yeah.
So we'll be down in the camper van.
The Dub Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've joined the Dub Club. We're moving away from a tent to a bit more luxury. Well, I've been told that anyway, guys, that we're moving to a bit more luxury. It's away being sprayed and having all the body wheels all spandangled and everything at the minute, he tells me. It still hasn't got a bed and a kitchen and everything else in the back. It's just the most expensive 2-seater T5 you've ever seen. But I've been assured it will have. So you might witness, guys.
I've actually just completed my car bed. I've got a Vauxhall Antara, and I've, thanks to Luke's putting ideas in my head, I've actually built a storage facility and a bed in it. So I'll be testing that out at Rodney Cook and Detectable.
Fantastic.
Cool.
As long as it's not too cold, because it can drop cold on a night. So just take some hot water bottles just in case.
Dave, you'll see me coming in it anyway, because it'll be playing 18 theme tune.
Don't encourage him, please don't.
That's why it's getting sprayed up as the 18 van.
He even said he was going to have bullet holes sprayed on the side, and I said, I drew the line there. I'm pretty laid back and pretty easygoing and let him do what he likes, but it's like half mine as well as his, and I drew the line at bullet holes.
Kieran, go on to eBay and you can get the sticker versions. You can put them on.
Anything, he needs to have a big detector on the side of it, or a hammered coin or something.
Well, it is having FAF team on the side.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I've only just found that out, so you know just as much as me now. He comes up with these things and he says, I told you ages ago, and I'm like, no, you didn't.
Well, actually, you can listen back to this show and he's got proof that he's told you now.
Yeah, I know. But can he also say, right, Kieran, do you promise it's going to have a bed and all the nice things in the back that you promised? And you took all the seats out and you said, yeah, it will happen.
Yeah.
Did you see that silence?
One day, yes. Next year.
Next year, or she'll be buried permanently with concrete boots.
Concrete. Ooh, yikes. She's tough. I got a feeling she's not one to mess with.
No, you don't mess with me. I'm a nice person. It's like, I'm Dave, when you first meet me on a dig and you come shake my hand, what do I do?
Give me a hug.
Give you a hug. I don't do handshakes, I do hugs. And I'm famous for my hugs. Everybody that comes on a dig, when they first join the FAF family, I don't give them a handshake, I give them a hug, because strangers are just friends we haven't met yet. And that's my belief in life. So, yeah.
My experience has been when you have to tell people you're nice. No, I'm absolutely kidding. I'm sorry. I'm just joking.
I always tell people I'm nice, Mike.
Yeah.
You never believe.
Well, there you go. You got to tell them there's something not right there.
Put a post on the group and ask people what kind of person I am, and I'm quite happy whatever people put on there. I am me. I am 49 next month, and it's took me a long time to get to the person that I am. There's been a few rocky things along the way, but I am who I am, and I'm not going to change. I'm soft as milk. I'll do anything for anybody, give you the last penny and the shirt off my back. And sometimes that's been okay, and sometimes people took advantage. But I don't care, because along the way I've met some incredible people and made some incredible friends and some fantastic memories. So I'm going to carry on being soft as muck and just letting people, just trust everybody until they prove me different, rather than be the other way and be cynical. And because, you know, life's too short. It's far too short. Anything can happen tomorrow. So just enjoy it for the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, be positive, be kind. See someone with that smile, give them yours. You know, all those kind of cheesy lines. That's me. Yeah. I'm a person. So I'd do well in America, wouldn't I?
You would do wonderful. Fantastic.
I'd be the one that go, have a nice day.
Right.
Yeah, I'd really get on your nerves, probably. Whereas Kieran's he's so laid back, he's horizontal, but yeah, he just shrugs. That's why they call him. His nickname is Slug Legs. Everybody in the group knows him as Slug Legs. Because he's just sort of like, go with the flow.
I'm slow moving.
Yeah, he doesn't get stressed about anything, really. He's just like, what will be.
That's the way to be, though.
Yeah, he won't.
I'm not worried about me weekender that half my fields aren't ready yet.
Don't ignore them. They are ready. They will be ready. He was panicking because he got a phone call on Tuesday. The farmer told him, got a bit of an issue. The combine harvester's in the garage being fixed.
Oh, no.
So I did see a slight quiver of the lip. And he's been going every day to check to see what stage they're at. But you're all right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, but we have got other land as well. We've got contingency land, so we don't let people down ever. Even when we've put digs on before, if we put digs on that's new land and it's just not produced, he's put his hand in the pocket and gone and paid all the farmers, haven't you, and found other land for people to go. And we don't like people to be disappointed. We like them to be happy.
But at the end of the day, you can't promise what's in the soil, can you?
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Right.
I guess that's the other bugbears in the hobby, I think. And I know a lot of fellow admin and organisers of other digs and groups will understand. It's some people just they're not interested on a dig unless it is virgin land, never been touched. But what they don't understand is that they could maybe go on that land and find absolutely nothing, not a bleep, not a tractor pot, iron or anything, because obviously, as you know, England as a country, we have been invaded and occupied, and we've had so many things, settlers and everything in our history, which is why we've got such a diverse history in such a small island. But it also, during them times, the Vikings, the Romans, the Anglo-Saxons, the Celts, up in Scotland, the Picts and the clans, they didn't just go out in the countryside for a nice day out or a nice walk in the sunshine. They had a purpose. They were going from A to B, and they were going to take the shortest, safest route to get there. And if there were no natural resources like food and water and shelter in an area, they're not going to go across a field in the middle of nowhere if they have no reason to go across it. We might, because it's beautiful, but they didn't think about it quite like that. It was more like, we need to survive. So there are going to be fields and pockets of land in this country that have no history at all, that have nothing in them, because there was no reason for anybody to be on that land. And we have had fields that have been so quiet that if you were to get a signal, you dig it, because it's got to be something. Whereas if you've got a plough, especially a ploughed field, as we know, every time a field is deep ploughed and disked and everything, it's like bringing up fresh history all the time, which is why we love the arable. So sometimes having land that we've had a previous dig on with a small number, and a lot of things have come off, it's a good one to go on, because nothing ever gets covered 100% ever. And everybody's machine's different. Everybody's understanding their machine's different. The weather affects things. The type of land that you're on affects things. If it's been wet, if it's been dry, we all know they all have different effects on what you find and what signals you get. So you could go on the same field 5 days in a row, and different people will find different things at different times. That's the beauty of the hobby. But I think that is one of the bugbears, is that, if it's not virgin land, I'm not going on it. But surely that's going to get to the point then where there will be no virgin land left in the country. What are those people then going to do? Where are they going to go? Because if they've exhausted it all, where are they going to go?
Well, and it's never hunted out. It really isn't.
Unless you've gridded something and you've gone over it and over it with different machines at different times. We even find different times of the day affect what finds come up. More comes up, it seems, either very first thing or after lunch, when people have got full tummies and slowing down a bit, and moving the coil a little bit slower, lower to the ground, and things start to come up. So yeah, it can even be time of the day make a difference. But like you say, unless you've gridded it and gone over it inch by inch,
with several detectors and everything.
Machines at different times of the day under different weather conditions. Yeah, there's no way you can say for definite that everything has been found, and that's just on pasture. Obviously, on an arable field, it's been ploughed, it's had crops in it, the roots have moved things about and brought things up, then the plough brings things up again. You're constantly turning over history, and then water, a lot of the rain that we have in this country, the land sinks and different levels, and I mean, that's the joy of it. I love ploughed lands, ploughed fields, because it's just like you're getting a fresh field all the time. It's lovely. But some people just want something that's never been touched. So,
and you're right. I mean, in fields, it's constantly, getting changed. I mean, there's sites that I've been hunting for many years in fields, where a single house was, and, hunt it for a year solid, when the weather permits, feel like I've got it hunted out really good, and go back, a year or two later after because they really don't plow like they used to here in the United States. They do a lot of what they call no-till, but they do still plow. Every few years, every 3 or 4 years, they'll do a deep plow, and it's like it was never hunted. I mean, they're constantly turning and moving the dirt, and it brings things that were on edge and things that were too deep up. And so when you're talking fields, I don't care even if you've gridded it. I mean, that stuff will give. I've got a friend who hunted he's been hunting some of the same fields year after year. And one field site, it got plowed, and he went back out, and he found a gold coin out there. So it's just constantly changing in fields.
Exactly. I mean, even pasture, as it's grazed and had cattle on it, treading down, eating the grass. I mean, sheep and goats especially, they'll get the grass right down to the bare minimum. And as that grows, even that, what's happening beneath the soil is, things are moving all the time. The earth's moving all the time. All the creatures like mold, worms, everything. People don't think about that. So even on a pasture, it can still produce, and a lot of people find that. But
give pasture land a real good hiding and cover it, and then 3 years later you can go back and it's just like a new field again.
Yeah. That's the beauty of Mother Nature.
And then, I mean, there's so much that plays into it, weather conditions and everything else. I mean, it's so hard. I just don't believe that most sites are hunted out. I mean, you take a very small yard at a house in town, and maybe that can be hunted out. But when you're talking large, let's say you have a lot of people on a field and you do several hunts. I mean, there's going to be signals that that's a good target that one person's going to pass up, and depending on their experience and their detector and what their detector, so it's I really don't believe in all that.
Well, a prime example of that, Mike, is what I mentioned earlier, the Victorian nutcrackers that I found. The hole had been dug, the hole had been filled in, and I went over it and found the nutcrackers. So, why hadn't the person before found that?
But maybe they did, but didn't realise what it was. Maybe they thought it was some part of a tractor because they were new to the hobby or whatever, and just threw it back in the hole. We've had in our scrap.
No, it wasn't like that. It was actually they dug the hole, and this piece of metal it hadn't been touched. It was running. I don't know, about an inch in the hole and then off sideways. So the hole had been dug above it.
So maybe they've not pinpointed it properly, or.
Well, they've got out what they thought was the target and not gone over the hole again.
Exactly. That's what we say to people sometimes. If they dig a hole up and they find either one thing, a coin or something, go back over it with your pinpointer or your machine, because don't just assume you found the one thing that set your machine off, because at the end of the day, that's a coin spill. You may not necessarily know visually by looking in the hole, but it might be in there, but you've got to go back in and check. So don't, always double check your hole. Don't just assume the one thing you've got out is the one thing that set your machine off. But we've had Neil, our senior admin, along with me. He's, because he goes through the scrap buckets to separate the lead and things like that, and rubbish and stuff. And he's found hammered coins. He's found Roman coins. He's found eyes only finds, the Neolithic flint arrowheads.
I've got a massive chunk of decorative silver.
Yeah, you've got a big chunk of decorative silver that had just been chucked in the bucket.
And I know who chucked it in there as well.
And they just they didn't realise what they've got. And like anybody that's starting in the hobby, I mean, I've kept everything, because to me, even tractor parts, to me, that's treasure. I've dug it, so it's treasure to me. And Keiron moans at me, but it's in the shed in bags. So I have this joke. I'm going to start doing these build your own tractor part kits. Sort of like to build bit by bit, like these magazines you have to subscribe to, where you get a part every month. Well, I'm going to do that today. And I think I'm onto a winner there, and everyone will be laughing their heads off till I'm a multimillionaire, but you'll see. But apart from that, things you dig up, to me, it's treasure. But I always say to people, anyone new to the hobby, when you dig it, don't throw anything away until you've let somebody who's been doing it a little bit longer, or one of the admin, or another fellow member in the club, have a look at it, and they might be able to help you and say, well, actually, that's a palm guard, or that's this, or that's that. Because a lot of things you find that are really, really incredible don't actually look that much when you look at them, because obviously they've been in the ground a long time and different reasons, but they've still got a huge amount of history to them. So, never assume that something is just junk. Always get someone to check, which is another little point I can put across. We have a system in our group with new members. We have I don't know what they're called. Do you know what I mean? If I say snap bands, like the wristbands that snap onto your wrist. Yeah. Yep. We've got some of those, and I put a post on a long while back. I don't know where it's gone, but when people are new members, if they're a bit nervous, or they're coming on the dig on their own and they're a bit nervous and they're new to it and they're not sure what they're doing and they're a little bit worried and they don't feel able to sort of ask other people. Obviously, admin will walk through things with them and walk on the fields with them if need be. But we also have these snap bands that they can put on their detector. So then at the briefing, we'll just say, we've got some new members with us today, and they've asked to have one of the red snap bands put on their detectors. And if you see them looking a bit lost out in the fields, or they've dug something up and they're not sure what it is or anything, please feel free to, give them a helping hand, or give them a friendly smile, or just so that people... Because obviously you can be spread out on a field, so everybody's not going to be next to an admin all the time. But it's just a thing that we've put in to try and help people that are new to the hobby feel welcome and feel that it's okay to ask a question. That's the sad thing, the nastier, uglier side of the hobby I've seen, where people will post something up that they found and people have put derogatory comments or have laughed about it because it's a piece of junk. But at the end of the day, they only know it's a piece of junk because they've been doing the hobby a longer time than that particular person. So we all learn somehow. We all learn and we all start somewhere, and everybody's new at something at every part of our life. So instead of being that kind of atmosphere, we want it to be the other kind of atmosphere and not shame people or be derogatory or laugh at people because they don't know what something is, or they think they found something exciting and it hasn't.
Someone's walked away with 6 nails in an horseshoe.
Yeah.
You make them feel like they've had a good day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've never found a horseshoe and I love horseshoes. So, it's one of those things. So we have got those as well on our digs. If anybody joins and they're new to the hobby, they just ask for one at the beginning of the day and I'll just give them one. They can stick it on the machine and then, they'll get that support out in the field. So that's just another little thing. But, yeah.
Well, and what one person might consider junk can really be something cool. I don't know anybody in England like this, but I will say we've got a guy here in the United States. He's, I guess you would call him an amateur archaeologist, although he's probably done more for the archaeological community than any of our archaeologists, and he's also a detectorist. But something I've learned by following him and talking to him, he will pull out he will have a picture of this like torn up piece of nothing, but he'll find where what it is. I'm throwing an example out there because I actually remember this. It was a piece off of an early trade gun with the Indians. We're talking 1700s, and I know our history is not the same here, but that's a significant find. What looks like an absolute piece of treasure that I know of several detectorists here in the United States would dismiss it and throw it away because they don't know what it is, and without the context of it, it is a piece of trash. It is just that. But even I just found out recently that there are bottle caps that are worth $50-$100, and not only that, there's people collect them, and there's stuff. So I think so many detectorists, especially us that have been doing it so long, sometimes we put the label of junk on something. And it's not fair. It's not right just because we've deemed it junk. I mean, these bottle caps, there's ways to, even the rusty ones, to clear that rust and get what it was. And, that bottle cap might be worth $50 or $100 or, $5. But is that junk? I mean, how many $5 bottle caps can you find before it's a significant amount? I've probably thrown thousands of them away. I got to wonder, if I would have cleaned them up, what could have they been worth? Some of them. So,
hindsight's a beautiful thing.
Right. So I said, and it's more in the context of historical value, but it works here too. I could go to, we find in these fields a lot of nails.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that you could take the best nails, old nails, and clean them up, these iron nails, and you could put them in a box, one of these like Riker's boxes, a display case of some sort, and you could say, found these at this historical site, discuss the site, and I guarantee there would be people that would want to buy your display of nails. And I use that more in context, cool that you found that box full of stuff, that you have thrown all willy-nilly in a box, but, if you labeled it and said where it came from and explained the situation, that's the real value. So that's how I use it, but it does work in this case too. I mean, you could literally take the old square cut nails and you found them at this very historical site and you cleaned them up and you displayed them and they're worth something. So I don't like that. Now there might be things that, that pop can, it's worth the value of the aluminum or whatever, but it's
aluminium.
Yeah, aluminium.
Don't be coming that rubbish with me.
Right.
UK broadcast now.
Exactly. My bad. I would like to apologize to Kirsty and Keiron. I had to throw that out there. I did it on purpose because I know people are sitting around in chat like, Mike, you promised a drinking competition here tonight. What's going on? So I apologize for that. I know it's Kirsty and Keiron. I think I got to. Yeah, right. So but just in the I don't want to get nasty emails like, hey, I was promised a good drinking game and you really didn't come through, Mike. But that's Nothing.
History is the context behind things. Like you say, there may be rusty old nails, but like you say, if there's 200, 300, 400-year-old rusty nails, or the Roman rusty nails, and where they've come from, and the land and everything, that it's a bit like anything that's old. It's the provenance, it's the story behind it that makes it into something interesting. And everybody likes different things in life. Variety is the spice of life. So like Keiron loves his Roman. I love anything historical, but for me, the thimbles do it for me. And when you get lots of interesting buttons, we've got people that hate finding the buttons on the land, and then other people that absolutely love buttons. So everybody is looking for something different, and everybody's sort of holy grail in the detecting family is different. Some people it's a hammy, then they get the hammy, it might be something else. Some people it's a croacle bell. Keiron, you've had loads of croacle bells, haven't you? Some people can go years without getting a croacle bell. Some people it's a Jew's harp. Some people it's a thimble. Some people it can be the nutcrackers. Some people it can be something Viking or Anglo-Saxon or Celtic or Victorian or Georgian or Edwardian. So everybody has that little favourite bit of history that they're looking for. So like you say, nothing is worthless. Everything's got history.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just been laying there waiting for somebody to find it. So it's, and it's teaching you things all the time. It's a bit, until I started the hobby, I didn't realise why there were lots of thimbles found in the ground. I didn't know why some fields you get hundreds and hundreds of buttons, and the history behind that. And it's nice sharing that with people when they're joining the hobby, why you do find that in the fields in the middle of nowhere, because obviously they can't understand where all these buttons have come from, or why there's lots of thimbles. And the thimbles can be some can be really, really tiny thimbles, in different sizes. And it's nice to share that as well, the story behind that and why that happens. And when we get the guys that come over from America and Canada and Australia, everything, they've got different history. You've got different history. So that's nice to hear about that history. Like Mike, who's going to be coming over soon from Texas, the South, he's actually had to build an extension. He's had to build another room, hasn't he, on the side of his house. And he was showing us photographs last year. And it's all Civil War items and things that he's found with the American Civil War. And
you're going to have to hook Mike and Mike up being in Texas,
Mike Gill.
There you go, Mike. Find Mike Gill.
Yeah, that was amazing, seeing all the stuff the photographs of everything that he's got, on the shelves, and the Civil War, on the history there, because that's a different history to what we dig up. So, it's brilliant, things like that. It's just, yeah. I mean, I know in America there's a lot of big followers of beach detecting. Is that right?
Yes. Well, we've got everything.
Yeah. I mean, we'd have that here, but to be fair, our beaches, because we don't have the weather, people don't spend as much time maybe along the beach, the beach line, losing jewellery and rings and coins and historical things, I guess, than maybe they do in America, where you spend more time in certain parts of the country at the beach. So I don't think beach detecting we get as many great finds. I think a lot of it is just modern, isn't it? Yeah. But that, again, that's just like you say, different parts of the world give up different treasures. So, I mean, I'd love to have a go at river detecting. That seems to be quite a big thing. And people wearing all scuba gear and going down and detecting underwater and things like that, and wreck diving. But I don't think that'll ever happen because Keiron won't go on a boat. So if you get seasick.
I had 2 Mike Gills come up, and I have mutual friends of both of them. So,
well, this Mike Gill will be a member of Find a Field. So,
okay, I will I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, I will definitely have to reach out to him. And it's funny because I've heard of, I've had different guys over in England make fun of guys coming over there for hunts and digging out buttons that get thrown away at some of the hunts and stuff. And I get it. I mean, I get that from you. I understand why that's funny, but on the other hand, those buttons are so hard to find over here, and they relate to us, the Revolutionary War, and so they're really, really neat to us. I can't imagine anybody trying to pass it off like they found it here, but I could still see to have one, even if I said I dug it out of a trash can from a hunt over in England, just because they are so rare to find here. So I get a kick out of it. But yeah, that kind of shows how things are different.
But then we have people in the UK who find buttons and love them and collect them, especially like the military buttons, and looking up for the different measurements, different size buttons, and the different regiments and who they belong to, and some buttons that might not be military, but they'll have like a crest on them or some kind of heraldic shield, and being able to like look that up and find out who it belonged to. And then there's just some really pretty buttons that have gold on them and engraving, and someone's gone to a lot of effort to make them not just a serviceable item, to make it attractive. And then we've had people find handmade buttons, which are obviously very, very old. So there's history just behind those, the handmade buttons. So,
right.
Like I say, different people like different things, and it's a bit like, they say that one person's meat's another man's poison. I guess one person's trash is another person's treasure. That is why it's such a fantastic hobby, I guess, because we're not all looking for the same thing. I mean, I've never found a horseshoe, and I love horseshoes. So a lot of people that find them on the digs, they just come and give them to me. Well, they do when Kieran's not about, because he won't let me have any more. But
they put them in my truck, and I stuck them in the hedge bottom.
So I hide them, and then I put them in my garden the right way up so the look stays in them. But I mean, even that, horseshoes, there's a lot of history to them, and there's some unusual ones. I only learned recently, about a year ago, there was somebody found a horseshoe, and it had sort of like spikes in the bottom of it, and the spikes sort of went in the opposite direction of the way the horse's foot would be. And when we looked into it, they were for horses that were doing a lot of work in the fields on slopes, on quite steep hills, and it was basically a really early form of a braking system. So when the horses were walking down the hills, the spikes in their horseshoe would stop them from sort of sliding downwards. It would give them grip. But who knew? If you didn't know that, you'd just think, oh, it's just a horseshoe and throw it away. And actually, it's not. They're very rare. So there you go. That's why I like people giving me horseshoes.
Yeah, I'm more, even after all these years, I'm with you. I mean, I find things that I'm really into that I know most people throw away and stuff. I mean, even, one that we get here quite often, I'm sure you guys do too, but we find a lot of shotgun shell heads.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, we get a lot of them, but there are sites where you can at least get a rough date. They were made from 1913 to 1919, and you'll find some that are rare, and not that there's any value, but again, clean them properly and put them in a display case and put them on the wall, and they're actually pretty cool. Now, if I saved them all, I would probably have 50-gallon drums of them everywhere, but you can take those rare ones and clean them up, and the clean ones that aren't bent and broken and everything else, and actually make a really interesting display. I mean, not only is it neat, but it's a good conversation piece. And so many people will just throw them away like, oh, I can't believe I found another one. Well, look at it. That was only made for 2 years, and somebody like me who has at least went through, the hundreds and hundreds of them I found, I've never seen one like that. And then I look it up, and it's like, oh, it's because it was only made for 2 years back in the 1890s, and they're grumbling that they're tired of finding them. So, yeah, I think people kind of get a little snobby sometimes, kind of thing. But you never know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kind of went off on that way too long, probably.
Okay. Well, I think it's nice that people new to the hobby can realise that actually things that they find are interesting and are important. You know, it's not just got to be gold or silver or coins all the time. There's lots of other really fantastic, interesting things.
Oh yeah,
out there.
Absolutely.
Out there, you just got to look for it and stick with it, low and slow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we end the show, is there anything that Keiron and Kirst would like to add?
I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Just about everything, I think.
So sorry if I have whittled on too much. I am sorry.
Way too much.
It's all right.
Way too
It's
much. No.
It's much better than listening to Mike.
It's only when I'm passionate about things that I kind of yeah. So, but you know, even to the point I was thinking about doing a degree in archaeology or history or something like that, because I just love it so much, even though it's totally different to what my career is. But no, I've really enjoyed it. It's been really nice talking to somebody from across the pond, way across the pond.
Right.
I've sent you a friend request, Mike, and I've sent you a messenger of a screenshot of the Mike who we know, who's
great. That's
and
awesome.
he lives. I thought it was Texas, but because I thought sort of south, that sort of thing. But it's Alabama, California, Alabama. Where do we? So I know that's probably a long, long way away from where you live. I don't know. But anyway, I've sent you a screenshot of this profile so you know you've got the right one. And feel free to hook up with him. So he's coming over for 3 months. No, that's somebody else. That's the guy from Australia that's coming over.
Okay, I am checking it now.
You've got all these international people coming on the digs.
Oh, I added the wrong one, but that's quite all right. Well, the other one I had mutual friends with as well. Hopefully they're into metal detecting.
Yeah.
So
you can only hope, can't you? And if you ever get over to the UK, you're very welcome to come and join us.
I would love that.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime. So it'd be a pleasure to have you.
That would be great, yeah. One of these days I'll get over there, and there's so many people from doing the podcast that I want to meet and hunt with, and
Definitely.
Someday.
You'd have to be here for a year probably to fit everybody in. So.
Right, yeah, exactly. And right now my wife would not dare let me without taking her because, we all need a break from the little demon nugget. So,
well, I've got my little grandson here. Well, he's 6, and he's here, and he's one of. I think he's our youngest member of Farmer Field. He's been coming out on the digs since he was 4.
Great.
And when you were 5, I know. Would you want to say hello? So only the summer holidays he's allowed to stay up because he's at Grandma's house. He was busy in the kitchen making slime. You're going to say hello? Hello.
Hello.
So that's Riley. So yeah, he's the mini admin. So he's our youngest member, and I think our oldest is 88. And I've grown bigger. And you've grown bigger. And we know you've grown bigger. Yeah, you've just had a birthday. You've grown bigger. But his favourite finds when he's out detecting, not so much now, but when you were younger, were worms. He was happy if he dug up worms. But he did have a finds box, and everybody else, because he was so cute, would just donate coins and things. So he used to go home to his mum and tell her he'd found all these things when actually they were other people's. But but it's lovely to see the younger ones out and enjoying the fresh air. So we look forward to seeing people out and about. Feel free to join the group. If you want any info on the raffle or anything, or you were looking where to find it, just drop me a PM and I will answer you pretty quickly, usually, aren't I? So,
well, for anybody in the group who hasn't listened tonight, the show will be on more or less able to download more or less straight away, Mike, yeah?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So if they've just followed the links that, well, I'll put another link on at some point, which will bring you directly to the show.
And the announcements as well, Dave, so.
Marvellous.
But I do love little demon nugget.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Obviously, we spoke about this for a while coming on, and we've been able to sort it out for tonight. And I know you were a little bit nervous, but everything's been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to leave the listeners with something. So it was great to have Kirsty and Keiron on tonight. Really, we had Kirsty and Keiron on. So, but
AKA Slug Legs and Turtle Tab. That's our detective name.
Oh, that's funny.
Don't ask why.
Don't ask why, she said. Just don't ask.
I don't know why I'm called Turtle Tab, to be honest. That's what I'm called. My ears are pretty normal, really. But anyway, there you go. But it's been lovely. I've really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on. Absolutely.
All right, then. So, good night, guys. Take care.
Good
night.
Good night,
Dave.
Take care.
Look.
Speak next week.
Yeah, see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there you have it. Boy, that was sure fun. What great people to have on the show. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we will see you next week.
The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine acts as a hub for information, offering articles from archaeologists, detectorists and other specialists throughout the genre, featuring many links, event info and news articles associated to archaeology and metal detecting. We also offer professional review services and promotion for books, resources, videos, documentaries, gadgets, equipment and much, much more. The magazine is run by the archaeological and metal detecting community for the archaeological and metal detecting community. So come visit us at archmdmag.com, that's archmdmag.com, and check out information from our media section with all the latest content, news from the Archaeology channel, podcast, and the YouTube channels that feature the now legendary Digger Dawn, the Man with the Hat, and Archeo Duck, just to name a few. If you would like to offer an article, link, or inquire about other services, then pay us a visit at archmdmag.com and drop us a line.